Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Today I want to share something very interesting, and that is how you can manage your secrets in a production environment. Now I just want to check and make sure that my sound is good. All right, I've confirmed on this device. I think I was streaming on this other device. Let me just do it. Okay, I think this is good enough. Let me have it muted, and I can actually delete this tab. All right, I'll use this other device for monitoring the stream. So I wanted to share something very important that I've been doing of recent, and it's going to help you. I think it's actually pretty cool. And that is managing your secrets in a very, very efficient way. And not only efficient, but secure. So if you look at this project, for those who have been following for a long time and who have been trying to own this project and make it their own, you are very aware that you had to use a .env file. Basically, that env file was an example, not an example, but a fulfillment of the .env.example file. Okay, and that was to pass the environment variables to our application, and those environment variables are consumed by our app, mainly the backend. Of course, the frontend also consumes the environment variables, but in a very different way. For the backend, it mainly consumes the environment variables in the main.py file. And I need to expand this so that you can see it better. And then reduce the size of the terminal. Okay, now, if we go through it, you're going to notice a number of things, okay, from this start. If I go up, you will see that we have the load.env tool. But this load.env package simply helps us to load the environment variables. And like you can see, we have configuration for rate limiting, for Redis, the Redis URL, for banning, okay, and a number of other environment variables which are used in the application in different parts, okay? Now, the tool I'm going to show you enables you to fetch these environment variables without having to use a .env file, because with the .env file, so let me create one right now, say .env, okay? And then maybe I have maybe something like maybe secret is equals to just some random gibberish like that. This file in the modern age has a risk of being read by an AI tool. I'm sure many of you have encountered a scenario whereby your Claude Code agent, AI agent, or even it could be anything, GitHub Copilot, it could be any AI tool that you're using, has actually read your secrets. And this is something to be avoided, okay? And when you move to production, ideally you'd have to copy this file around, okay? Copy it, replicate it, or copy and paste each value, each key pair value one by one, which is not really ideal, okay? It's not a good experience. So the best thing has always been to use tools that can help us abstract this, okay? Not abstract, but remove the need for having a .env file in your project. So I'll delete this one, and .env.example stays, okay? It stays. So the tool I'm going to show you is called Doppler, and Doppler helps you to store your secrets in the cloud, and it injects the secrets into your application at runtime. So you don't have to manually copy and paste values from your .env to maybe production, staging, and probably local development, you don't need that. Okay, it helps you manage secrets for your environments and injects them at runtime. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And also you can inject them for your CI/CD workflow. You can also inject these secrets in a container. And I'm going to show you how to do that with Docker containers. All right, so let's go ahead. I might sound a little bit different right now because I got a flu a few minutes before this session and it got me so pissed. And because I already scheduled it, I didn't want to cancel. So let's go on. So yeah, we have all this. Now let's move on. To get started with Doppler, the first thing is to install it. Okay, so to install Doppler, and of course this is the Doppler dashboard. Let me zoom in. To install it, like everything can simply Google it. Okay, so the Doppler CLI. If you go to this link which says install CLI, this is all you need. So you can either click on brew install GNUPG. Okay, so this is like a prerequisite, and then you can now say brew install Doppler. And of course this works if you're on a Mac. For those on Windows, click on this tab, okay, and you'll have the instructions for installing it on Windows. The same thing applies to those on Alpine, Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, okay, and so forth. So it's quite easy, actually, quite easy. So on Mac, I used this. And after that, go to your terminal, okay? To verify, you can simply, I'll come and clear this, clear the terminal, and then say Doppler minus minus version. Okay, let me fix the spelling. It's supposed to be like that. Okay, so I don't know how you pronounce it, whether it's Doppler or Doppler. That's it. So once you have this output, then you know that you have successfully installed it. After that, you now need to authenticate by saying Doppler login. So when you authenticate, you'll be prompted through a number of steps, which I'm going to show you. And for this to be successful, I want you to create an account, okay? So you see here, let me log out. Let me sign out. This is the Doppler cloud platform on which you're supposed to create an account. So you can click on sign up and you sign. Okay, you sign up and create an account. In my case, I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. So when you're logging in, you're actually creating a platform that is going to store all the secrets for you. That's what it's all about. And so like you can see, I have been requested to enter a verification code. Okay. And of course, that is something very tricky that you should not share. So let me see how I can share it right now. Give me a minute. So I'm done. You can see I'm now logged in. Okay. So when you go to your terminal and say Doppler login and hit enter, you'll be authenticating using that platform. Okay. So it says warning, you have already logged in. So I don't need to log in anymore. You get, I have already logged in. So I'll cancel this. Override global scope. Okay. So I'll choose to cancel that. But if you haven't, make sure you do a Doppler login after you've installed Doppler on your machine, and also after you have created your account, because the login in the terminal or in the CLI will work against the account you have right here in your browser. So if you haven't, please do the Doppler login and accept. It will prompt you to go to the browser to complete the login. And of course, there will be a code that you need to share by copying and pasting between the two environments, which is the browser and the CLI. So when you're done, you can now come here and click on this part and say create workspace. Then you can give your workspace a name. I can say maybe livestream sample. I'll delete this. Then after that, you can now create a project, okay? And say maybe this is the backend. The description is optional. So like you can see, we have development, staging, and production. And you can have secrets for all these stages. To add, simply click on this plus sign. When you click, it says create a branch config. Okay. This means you're creating another branch of secrets from the main development config. Okay. That's one way of doing it. If you wanted to add secrets, for example, for production, simply click on this. Okay. And it brings you to this page where you see this button saying add fast secret. So if I click on add fast secret, you can now type in your secret. For example, I can say database underscore URL, and then you paste the value. Maybe it is HTTPS. Okay. You put in something just gibberish. Okay. May not be accurate. Then I click on save. Then when you're saving, it asks you to confirm, is it for the staging environment? Is it for development? Okay, is it only production? So I'll click and say this is only for the production environment. Now, right here, you can see that when I click, I can see the value. Okay. When I click on this icon, it hides the value. So you can either show or hide depending on what you want to do. If you want to see it, you click to reveal or click to hide. Of course, if you had so many environment variables, you don't add them manually one at a time. It would be very tedious to add one environment variable at a time for every environment, because this is only prod. But I can switch this to dev. So if I go to dev, you see that dev has nothing. Okay. Actually, it has one, but they're saying the value is missing. Sorry for the misleading there. Okay. Yeah. So if you go to staging, you'll see that we have the same environment variable, but missing a value. So you can do it in such a way that all environments share the same value, but that's not, of course, something good to do. Now, let's move on. The next thing to do is to show you how you can add using a .env file. So if I say import secrets, look at this button. If I click import secrets, I can paste secrets here from a .env. So if I go to my project, scroll down, and then go to backend, env.example, I can copy all these and paste them here. Okay, and say import secrets. And if you look at that, you have all the secrets. Then I click save and choose the environment. I can choose all. Okay, say development and prod. I click save. So you see, all have been added, and we have a warning saying that a secret with name database URL already exists in prod. So this is good because it has not overridden what was existing. So says one action required. So what can you do? That's a good question. You can decide to maybe save again, okay? But for only staging and leave it at that. But again, if you toggle and go to dev, you will see that you have everything but missing a value. If you go to the other environment, you see that you have everything but missing a value. Now, if I go back to the backend right here, you can still change this. You can go to the settings, okay, and rename the environment. You can also delete it. So you can go to production and go to the settings and then delete. You get. You can delete it or keep it as it is. But right now I just want to change. So I'll say the slug is prod. Okay. So the slug is prod. And then we can save. But before saving, look at this. It says, please note, renaming your environment may break your current deploys. All configs within this environment will be also renamed. Make sure to update your environment and config names in your codebase, cloud services, CLI configuration, and any secret references. Yeah. So you need to always be careful when making those changes. So that is it. But like you can see, you can branch off. Okay. For example, in dev, okay, I can have 3 branches, okay, for 4 different developers under dev. That's the good thing about this. So I see a message from Andy. Can I have your email? Interesting. Yes, Andy, I can share with you my email right now. Yeah, just for disclosure, I know who this guy is. So he's trying to test me right now on a live stream. And if you want the email, confirm in the chat and I'll share with you. That's in case you're still on the stream. All right, so what I've just done is sorry, sometimes when you look at the chat I'd be distracted. So I was saying, when you have Doppler set up, you can have configurations for different developers, okay? And it works pretty well. Now, what do I want to show you? Another way of adding your secrets. You can do it from the CLI. If I clear this, you can do something like Doppler secrets, then you upload, and then maybe mention the file like .env. That also works. If I hit enter, it says upload file does not exist. And this is expected, and this is what should happen. Okay, this is very, very okay. All right. So Andy, I've shared the email with you in the chat. Now, you don't have to cram all these commands. I think, these things are in the documentation already. So let me see. Where can I want to show you the page. So it's installing the CLI. What I want might be in the secret setup guide. I want to show you how to upload settings guide. No, I don't need this. Can we just do this? Sometimes searching through documentation of a company is slower and Googling is much faster. Doppler secrets, upload. Okay. So yeah, this tool now give me what I want. So you see, it's way much faster. So what I showed you was the first one, which is the manual upload from the UI right here. And now what I want to show you is using the CLI. In fact, I've just shown you here using this command, Doppler secrets upload. Then apart from that, I wanted to show you something. This, the AWS Secrets Manager, you can use a script, okay? But you don't need to use a script right now. In GitHub Actions, you can also do Doppler secrets upload. You see this? The same thing I did. Yeah, basically that's it. If you want if you want to find out how to do it with HashiCorp, this is it. Yeah, so I'm going to show you something else. How do you get a secret? Okay, or how do you set up your project? To do that, you say Doppler setup, then you hit enter. Okay, so it says using Doppler token from the environment. To disable this, use no read env. It says Doppler error invalid of auth token unable to fetch projects. That is actually valid and okay. I can show you how to do this. The best would be to show you how to log in first of all, okay? But maybe let me disable it, okay? Let me say Doppler setup. Remember, this command will only work when you have successfully done a Doppler login. So I don't have to do Doppler login because it will make me share secrets in this live stream. Of course, I might hide it, but it could take long, which is not something I want to do right now. So make sure you do Doppler login. Then after you do Doppler setup, I'll say minus no read env, and I will explain to you why it is doing this. Okay, why no read env is okay. So you see, it says select only available project, which is FastAPI backend, which was for the other project which I have, okay, not the one I created a few minutes ago. So I'll choose, okay, the environment. Is it dev? Is it staging? Is it prod? So I'll choose dev, okay. And now I can say Doppler secrets get to see a particular value. I say get, what do I want to get? I get maybe say mail from, hope this works, says unable to fetch secrets, invalid auth token. So it means I would need to log in again. Okay, so let me try to risk it. But I'll have to delete the token after this live stream. Let me risk it. Say Doppler login. Okay. Says you've already logged in. Let me override global login. Scope to current working directory. Yes. I'll say yes again to open the authorization page in the browser. Okay. So I have to paste here code. That code is right here in the terminal. It is given to you in the terminal. So I copy it, come here and paste. Okay, so I'll choose the project to work on. Maybe it's the project I've been working on. Then you can give it a name. Okay, I'll say sample token. I'll say to delete so that I can delete it later. Say finish. And that's it. So now after that, I can go back this other side and clear this. And now run Doppler setup. Wow. I think this is because of something I exported. Earlier on, I did an export of a Doppler token. I'll show you that in a moment, okay? This is something new for me that I need to figure out. So I'll say Doppler setup minus minus no read env, okay? So I want to clear my screen. What happened? Did you see that? That was weird. Okay, I can choose now dev. Now, if I say Doppler secrets, get mail from, hit enter, there we are. Okay, so it actually worked, which is something good. All right, so using Doppler secrets get, you can fetch a particular secret and see it. But of course, don't share this in public, okay? You'll get into trouble. I'm just doing it for the sake of showing you what to do. And I'm going to show you in a moment how I apply it to this project. Now, after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to show you how to run the project using Doppler. Ideally, you do Doppler, okay, run minus minus, then the command that starts your application. In my case, it is docker compose app. Then I hit enter. But I see it says Doppler error invalid auth token. To fix this, which has been disturbing us, we need to create what is called a service token. And this service token is different from what is given to you when you say Doppler login. Okay, Doppler login gives a token. Okay, and that token is hidden in the internal directories on your computer or in your current working directory for your project in a secret file when you do Doppler login. But on top of that, there's another environment variable that you can use for this. That environment variable is called Doppler underscore token. And when you have the Doppler underscore token environment variable set, Doppler uses it first instead of the token which is hidden in the Doppler config when you do Doppler login. So when you do Doppler login, another token is also created for you, but it is hidden in the internal files of Doppler on your machine. That is one way of achieving authentication. The second way is by creating a variable called Doppler token. So when you have both, Doppler uses the Doppler token. So mine expired and I have to create a different one. The command to do that is in the documentation. Let me get it very quickly. Today I got an unlucky with the flu in this live stream. All right, let me. Hey Rohan, long time. How are you doing? I know it's been a while since I did these live streams, but it's good to see familiar names joining in. It's been a while, Rohan. I hope all is moving great for you. All right, so let me show you that command. Actually, I used it in a workflow here, and I'll explain the workflow stuff soon. Let me just get this command, the plus secrets. Not this. Is it here? No. I want to simply reuse a command, which I'm not seeing. where could this be? Could it be? One time I saw to do live streams only in the morning, but I haven't learned my lesson. All right, let me just do this. Go to the browser, okay? And then Google, okay? Wait, do they have a search here? They don't have a search. So say Doppler token generation from CLI. I should be able to get it. Okay, there's this other one. This could be what I want. The service token. All right, let's scroll. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, Doppler configs tokens create token name plain. So this is the command you can use to create a service token. Okay, and this service token is very important. For example, if you wanted to access your secrets in a live environment, that's what you do. Note that in a live environment, you cannot do a Doppler login because you need to interact with the browser. So what you need is what is called a service token to help you in authentication. And I'm going to show you how I use this service token in this project. Actually, recently I was interacting with Codex, okay, to see how to can I say understand this thing better. I had given Codex the Doppler documentation, and I was telling Codex to try to break it down into phases, okay, so that maybe I do a tutorial on it, but I canceled it and said, it's better you just do a live stream. So what I wanted to do is this. I'm using this command here. It is built up of two main commands. The first command says export Doppler token equals, okay, remember here in the terminal, I told you that we need that environment variable, okay, called Doppler token. So the first part of the command is exporting it, okay? So you say export, let me clear the terminal, export Doppler token, then equal sign to give the value of this token, and the value of that token will be this command up here. Where is it? Where is it? Where can I find it? When I showed you this one here, Doppler configs tokens create. Then you give the token name. So down here, we can also use it. Doppler configs tokens create, the name of the token, and the max age, meaning how long it should last. As simple as that. In fact, I can just copy this whole thing and delete this and paste. I talked about using Codex. Let me show you. You may not believe me. I used Codex earlier in this other terminal. So it had laid up that command somewhere. Where is it? 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 Do you guys use AI? Let me know if you use AI and how you use it. I see it somewhere. Yeah, right here. Okay. I see. Typically the same command. Okay. But all we are doing here in simple terms is that we need authentication first. There's a way you need to authenticate to use Doppler. Okay. And the first way was by using the Doppler login command for local development. Okay. But again, if you're using Doppler in like AWS or any other external, can I say external service or cloud service, then you need a service token. Now on my machine, I have something which gives me a similar setup of my production environment or staging environment, which is the Docker containers. And because of Docker being like a separate environment from my machine, because my machine is the host and then Docker is something else, that makes us have a requirement of having to use this other service token. And this service token is passed on to the Docker container. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Be patient. So when I hit enter, okay, it says unable to create service token, invalid auth token. Okay, so the token is invalid. Okay, and sometimes you might have to try this more than once to be successful. So like I said, the first time I did it, it fails. Second time it works. I don't know why it has this behavior, but I noticed it when working with Doppler. Now, let us do the Doppler run --, docker compose app. Remember, I don't have any .env file right now. 0.env file. But Doppler is going to inject the environment variables into the application. Okay, so you don't need even to change your code. Understand that you don't need to change your code as long as your application code is well set up to pick environment variables. Simply add your environment variables in Doppler for your environment and use Doppler to run. You get? So Doppler run. Let's see. Are you seeing? Everything is now okay. You get? Are you seeing? The API is now running perfectly well. You can see Kafka has started. Okay. Grafana is right there. Prometheus is up. It's all looking good. So if I go to the browser and do localhost, okay, look at the docs, you see everything is okay. Everything is quite okay. And if I test an endpoint, you see it's working. I'm looking for the health endpoint. Let's do a health check. Rohan, are you still here? Or you texted and disappeared? So if I do this and hit enter, okay, not found, remove this other extra character. So you see, our API is healthy. Database is healthy, Redis is healthy, Kafka is healthy. If you don't know how to do this, check the playlist in the description. It will show you how I achieved all this. Very, very simple and yet interesting. Now, what else do I need to show you? This is how you can do it in your local environment. How do you do it in a production environment? Let me show you that. But even before that, let me kill this and show you how Doppler works in our container. Excuse me. It's very simple. Very simple. So in the container, remember on our machine, we installed Doppler using brew install Doppler. You get. But in the container, we also need Doppler because the container is a different setup from our environment. So in the container, if I show you the code, I see this line 20. Okay. It says run apt-get update. Okay, we update the libraries and apt-get install. Okay, -y no install recommends. Then we install everything that is required. Okay, so this simply helps us to install Doppler successfully or the right way. You get this command. Okay, and then we set an env for the Doppler config. Where did I get this command from? I get this command from, who can guess? From the documentation. It's in documentation. Okay. And here it says cmd Doppler run, then the command. The same simpler thing. So you may be curious, what happens if you just run docker compose app? Okay. Look at that. It works. Why does it work? Because I've already set the Doppler token. Okay, don't confuse it. I've already set the Doppler token in my environment. And secondly, inside the Docker container, okay, I have Doppler installed by this command on line 20. And on line 30, I'm saying already Doppler run. So in case you're not working with a Docker container, make sure you always do Doppler run, then a command to start your application, maybe like Doppler run --, maybe node what main.js if you're working with JavaScript, or Doppler run --, maybe Python manage.py run server, for example, if you're working with Django. Okay, so Doppler run --, then the command to start your application, and Doppler will inject the secrets for you. In my case, right now, I don't need to do Doppler run --. I can simply go ahead and say docker compose app, because Doppler has given us a command that we are able to use inside the container. And I'm doing that on line 30. How is that token passed on to the container? I'll show you in compose.yaml. So in compose.yaml, if I go to the up, where are you? I see this line of code, Doppler token. Okay, it is injected for us into the container. So that's what you only need in your compose file to have the Doppler token. Now, how does this work in the CI/CD pipeline? Okay, so first things first, I go to the deploy sh. Maybe first the workflow. Okay, in the workflow, there's nothing much actually. Okay, I'll minimize. I know you're seeing new things, but time will come and I'll explain them to you. So I need to hide that, come here and show you. Okay, so you see, I said Doppler token equals to, not equals to, but full colon, secrets.Doppler token. So you're going to get a Doppler token using the command I showed you for your particular environment. So like, for example, you'll create a Doppler token using this command. Let me show you. In fact, not for prod, okay? For prod, do this to be safe. Okay, I'm pretty new to this. I don't want to confuse you. I want to show you exactly what I did. I created something which is called a service token. So when I go to tokens here, okay, I create what is called a service token. For your GitHub action to work, you need what is called a service token. Get a service token, come to this tab, okay? So where did I go? I logged in into the Doppler dashboard. Then I went to tokens, okay? Then I chose service. You get, because it's not a command line anymore, but it's now the service. Then here is where now you can, what is it called? Create your service tokens. But I think there's something I'm forgetting. Because, let me do this. Let me switch the project. I want to show you something. Are you seeing this? I have here a number of tokens, which I used for this other workspace. And this one you're seeing is for the GitHub action. And funny enough, my brain is forgetting how I created one. But thankfully, I'm on a documentation. So there's no need to get confused. I can click on this, okay? It says learn how to create one. And you might find that it refers to the same command that we used earlier, okay? So, okay. So this time you're saying go to the project and select the config, click the access tab, click on generate. So let's try that. It's normal to forget. So they say go to the project and select the config. So if you go to projects, okay, I'll choose backend. Then I'll go to here, okay. Then they say go to access tab, click on access tab. Then they say click on generate, then generate, okay. Then yeah, you can copy the service token. So I can check this command, not this command, but this checkbox. to allow write permissions or add an expiry token. Yeah. So using Doppler is something new to me actually. I learned of it recently, but there are many other tools you can use. That's why I kind of got confused about what we had generated in the CLI and this other one. What I showed in the CLI is for the CLI interface, but what we're creating right now is what you need like in a GitHub Action environment. So yeah, I'll not generate one because I don't need it. But of course, make sure you give it a proper name. And I prefer service tokens to be only read. Okay, give them read access. Europe says, "Hi Nehe, what do you think about Vault?" Vault is good, and it's the one actually which I'm familiar with the most. Yeah, but I just liked the way Doppler approaches it, and yeah, how can I say free it is, and how much they give for their free package. I just found it interesting. Yeah, but Vault is good enough. Now, yeah, so when you get your service token, what comes up next? We need to go to GitHub. Let me close. I have so many tabs. Let me close these two. So on GitHub, I see my GitHub now. Do you remember from the past I had so many environment variables, but now I only have very few environment variables. Okay. And for Doppler to inject secrets into your workflow, okay, ensure you have your Doppler token. So generate it like I've showed you, then you come and add it. So you can say I added mine 4 days ago, and my secrets on GitHub are only a few, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there are few, and they're like this because I needed to have them here. Okay, but in fact, I'm thinking of even removing 2 more to make it easier. Okay, so with that, when we now go to, let me do a quick search of Doppler here. Europe, what do you say about Vault? Would you choose Vault over Doppler? I'm thinking I want to show you something. So Doppler, okay. So Doppler appears here. Where else do I see Doppler? All right. So when you're doing an SSH into the EC2 instance, the number of key things that happen, not happen, but which are required. First of all, we need the Doppler token. We need the private key. We need the GitHub access token. That is why these are not kept in Doppler, but they are kept on the repository secrets. Okay. Understand that, because if you have them in Doppler, then you'll not be able to SSH. You get SSH will fail. So for SSH to pass, the private key, okay, not the private key, but all these other environment variables, okay, including the private key, okay, are got from the GitHub Actions here. And to be accurate, from the GitHub Actions secrets. So we pick the private key from this part here, private key, okay, here, SSH private key, fills in this. Then the host is given from the previous job or from the previous part of this workflow, which is this other one here, deploy infrastructure. Okay, so this part says deploy infrastructure dot outputs dot ec2 public IP. So if you go to deploy infrastructure, you have outputs dot ec2 public IP. As simple as that. Then after that, we then use it. Okay, you say SSH using that private key, username at host, then we pass the Doppler token. Okay, Doppler token equals to Doppler token. We pass the GitHub personal access token, which is required for doing a git pull. And you know git pull cannot work except if you authenticate, and that part or GH part is used for authentication in the EC2 machine. So that's how you work with it. It's not complex. If anything is complex, please let me know. But I'm sure people who have been following this project from the beginning know every line of code and understand it. So I think in deploy.sh, I have some use of Doppler here. I want to search for Doppler. So in the script here, we have a number of configs. Okay, I wanted to show you a few things. Maybe let me start from the top to avoid confusing you. So you see we have the Doppler token, okay, being looked for. If it's not there, then we tell you that it's required. That's what line 5 is all about. You can give it more attention in your free time. And of course, I'll push this code and you'll have it. Then what else do we have here? I'll ignore this. Then here we install the Doppler CLI, okay, on the EC2 machine. Open all this. Then here you see, after I've set up Doppler CLI, okay, up here, after I've set up or installed Doppler CLI, the next goal is to use Doppler to fetch a secret. I see how useful it is. And that's it. And that secret is the mail from secret, which is the value for the certbot email. Okay. Where else? Where else do I use Doppler? I think that's it. So yeah, it's a very handy tool and will help you avoid having to share secrets accidentally. Okay. Handle the secrets for every environment very well. I need to handle this. Recently, I messed up this project, and such things like having a log file in this directory should not be happening, but I messed up something and I'll fix that. So I'm going to share this code with you. You'll find it on the public mirror, okay? And yeah, feel free to play around with it and let me know what you think. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Europe. Thank you, Rohan, for joining this live stream. I appreciate it.